Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to Gift of Healing TV. I'm Sara Jane, your hostess and the founder of Gift of Healing TV. This particular program is an introduction to the art of dowsing for yourself. Now, I'm sure many of you are aware that people douse for water and all sorts of different things, and there's divining rods, and sometimes they're little sticks, bits of wood. There are many different ways. That's not the type of dowsing I'm talking about. This is dowsing for yourself, being able to use a dowsing pendulum. Actually, I find I can use this necklace, this pendant that I wear. I've been wearing for so long. Maybe it's because there's a real connection between us. Dowsing with your actual body. You can ask in many, many different ways. Now, I know some people struggle with different pendants, pendulums, and it is finding one that you are comfortable with. It really is. I feel very blessed. I don't know why it works for me, but it does. And I tend to find I can pick up quite a lot of different dowsing pendulums, etc., and find they will work. I've had a wooden one. I can use crystal ones. And as I said, this is a Mayan singing ball that I have around my neck. She works for me as well. So, and you can ask questions for yourself. They have to be questions that have a yes/no answer. They can't be something that needs a long answer. And I don't, personally, I don't tend to do just an ask once. It's not because I don't trust the pendulum. I do. It is because, you know, your wording is really, really important. And so if you rephrase it so that some of the answers are yes, some are no, but they result in the same meaning, and you know, if you get that, then you've got the right answer. So a lot of the time I will ask the same thing in different words 3 times. But also, you know, some people will work with a dowsing pendulum very long. When I work, my pendulum likes to be quite short. And start by asking a question that you know the answer to. So if I ask my little pendulum, is my name Sara Jane? And I don't know whether you can see that, but it's swinging backwards and forwards, which is yes. Okay. Actually, do you know what? Is the sun shining outside my window? Now, I'm sure you can see that as a no. That's quite a strong no, because it's dark outside. It's in the UK and it's the evening here in the UK, so it's dark. Okay, I can ask her, do you like working at this length? Okay. Do you prefer to be shorter? So she will work for me at a longer length. But is that a more comfortable length for you? And do be patient, because when she started that, she started and it felt like it was going to be a no, and then it changed to a yes. So don't just take the movement of the pendulum on its first. Give it a chance to answer. Sometimes you'll get a very gentle answer. Sometimes she can be really strong with the answer that she brings. And it's listening to that, the strength of that reply. You can use this for if there are food in many people, it's that time of the year when it's the new year, going on diets, etc. What food should I eat? What food shouldn't I eat? There's also allergies. Is there a food that's good for me? I doused quite a long time ago. I used to have cereal for breakfast with milk, and I remember dousing one morning, and it was, okay, should I have milk? Cow's milk. That is a very definite no. I'm wondering what milk it's saying I should have, actually, because I just said milk. So maybe there is a milk, coconut milk, something like that, that isn't an issue for me. But is soya milk okay for me? And that's a definite no. And I've been told that I shouldn't have any form of soya at all. So there are lots of things. If you feel that is something that you're eating, potentially celiac, gluten-free, have to be gluten-free. There are lots of things that you can actually, I'm pretty certain if I asked about chocolate, I'd be told to stop eating it, which I am in the process of trying to do. You can ask, how good is sugar for you? If you're thinking about buying a drink, I'm thinking about, what in America I think they're called sodas. I'm just trying to think what they call, but anyway, they'd be fizzy drinks here in the UK. So Coca-Cola, lemonade, sort of all those type of things. And many people will go for the diet one because they think it's beneficial to them. There's no sugar in it, but there is an alternative to sugar. And so if you're in doubt about whether that is something you should drink, because aspartame has just been renamed amino sweetener or something, and that is a poison to the human system. And so if in doubt, you can douse. Now, I know that there'll be a lot of you reacting, well, how can I go around a supermarket like this? Well, you can, if you don't mind people looking, and if you're prepared to take the time. So of course you can douse as you go around a supermarket using a pendulum. And I have no doubt that there are people that do that. But there are other forms of dowsing. As I said, I can douse using my little singing ball that's around my neck. So she's always around my neck, so I could use her. And I'm only going to show you a few ways that I'm aware of and a few ways that I use. But please, there are other ways. And some people may call it muscle testing. That you find what works best for you. But for doing something like going round a supermarket, you could just use the finger and thumb. So you basically put your finger and thumb together, then you put the other one inside and just hold them together. And so again, it's that, for me, asking that yes, no, because the which is which. Okay, so sort of, am I in my 20s? Okay, my fingers pull apart. So the answer to that is no, I'm not, because no, I'm not. Am I in my 50s? My fingers won't come apart. Doesn't matter how hard I'm pulling. And I really haven't got them that pressed hard together. The answer to that is yes, I am. So you can use that while you're out in the supermarket. There is another way of body dowsing, and this I use a lot at home. And actually, the more and more you do it, the simpler it becomes. And for this, I'm going to stand up, but I hope you'll join in with this. If you've got a dowsing pendulum, we will come back to that in a minute. If you've got it, and if any, I know we've got people watching live, please feel free, if you've got a question that you would like me to ask one of my pendulums, and you can be asking your body at the same time to see whether we get the same answer. Because I remember quite a few years ago, I was in a mind, body, spirit fair, holistic fair. And there was a young girl, and I think she was probably, what, 9, 10, 11. Her mother was in the fair, but mother had gone off wandering. I don't know if she'd had was having a reading or something. And the little girl came and was talking to me and picked up a dowsing pendulum. She was going to some sort of class later that day. I'd asked her name. I really can't remember. I can't remember what the class was either. And so I picked up the pendulum and I just said, does whatever her name is enjoy whatever this class is? And I really was expecting a yes from this question. And I got a no. And I looked at her and she said, no, I don't. So if you have got a question you want to put today, while you're listening to this live, please feel free to ask it, and I will ask the question for you. And if you have a pendulum or you want to ask your body at the same time and see whether you're getting the same answer, I'm happy to do that. Okay, for this I'm going to stand, and I suggest you do, and make sure you've got a little bit of space. Now you're obviously not going to be able to see my head, it's going to chop my head off. But let's move my chair out of the way for a minute. Okay. Right, I'm going to stand sideways. Not a pretty view, sorry folks. I'm going to stand sideways to do this so that you can really see the movement. I tend to put my hands on my solar plexus. Okay, doesn't matter left on right, right on left. It really doesn't matter which way you do it. Whatever feels comfortable to you, I've just put them there. I don't think about that. And what I do is this, I don't tend to ask a question I know the answer yes or no to. What I tend to do is ask my body to please give me a yes. Now, please be prepared to move your feet, folks. Do not want you falling over. Sometimes your body may move right or left. It may move forward or backwards. Be prepared for whatever is your yes, whatever is your no. I know what mine usually is. It can change though. Okay. Feet slightly apart, just so you can hopefully keep balance a bit better. And okay, body, please give me a yes. Okay, thank you. That's quite a gentle yes, but it's a forward movement. And please give me a no. Thank you. And as I said, be prepared to put your feet out. So practice with that. I mean, I must got to admit, I've got to the stage because I've done it so often that I will just say, okay, body, your support, please. Okay, I'm going to ask this. Should I be eating chocolate? No. Yes? Hang on a second. Is it okay for me to eat chocolate? In the quantities I've been eating it. There you go. So in moderation. So chocolate's not a problem, it's just the quantities I eat when I eat it. So that's nice to know. My body's saying it's fine for me to have a little bit, but not a lot. But that's, so ask, be prepared to ask your body. So you can body douse in respect of, and as I said, you may move sort of left for a yes and right for a no, or vice versa. Forwards, backwards. For me, forwards is yes, backwards is no. And if you get an answer you're not expecting, then add to that question. Is it all right for me to eat chocolate? I was expecting a no to that. Now, it could be it's the type of chocolate. Oh, and of course, that would make sense. I said chocolate. Now, dark, raw chocolate is really good for you, but very bitter. So it's possible that what my body was saying is, the raw stuff's great. The stuff I like to eat isn't. So it's given me the only answer it can, because there is an element that is yes. And so, yeah, maybe that was a brilliant question to ask, because it's hopefully will help you realize that when you are asking these questions, because when you are dowsing, you can only get a yes or no answer or no answer at all. There are times when you won't get an answer. And it doesn't matter how you ask the question. In fact, at that point in time, if I'm not getting an answer, I'll be asking. And I'll be sort of, okay, this is stating that I've been asking a question and you've just not given me an answer. I will ask, are you going to give me an answer to this question? Am I allowed to ask this question? Do I already internally know the answer to this question? Because there are times when, as much as we would like some confirmation, we are being told to totally trust ourselves. So we are not always going to get an answer when we douse. What I am going to do is I am going to, obviously that is set up as a dowsing pendulum, whereas, bless her, my little singing ball isn't. But as I said, in spite of the fact she's not on a chain, she used to be on a chain. I seem to manage to break chains. Okay. Are you happy to be used as a dowsing pendulum? So you can see she's swinging backwards and forwards. I know it's not so easy to see when I'm directly in front of the camera, but that was backwards and forwards. Okay. Just trying to think of a question that can sort of, will you always answer me? There we go. Is this because there are questions I shouldn't ask? Yeah. Okay. Do you prefer to work at a shorter length? Yes. So when you are working with a pendulum of any sort, find what's comfortable for you and for your pendulum. Okay, let's right or left hand. I don't know whether it matters. I'm right-handed, so my inclination is for me to use my left hand. And it's the right side of the brain to the left side of the brain, etc., etc. Okay. Does it matter whether I use my left or my right hand? Okay, it says no. Do you have a preference of which I use? Okay. And this is where you obviously have to state, and do state a question. Put the whole meat around the question. Okay, so in this case, it would be, I'm using you and I tend to use my left hand. Do you mind which hand I use? No. Do you have a preference? Yes. So you have to break the questions down. Okay. Do you prefer me to use my right hand? Thank you. Do you prefer me to use my left hand? Is there a reason for that? And is that to do with the lefts and rights of the brain? Yeah. So, so whatever that is, so there is so much you can ask. Now, I remember quite a lot of years ago, I was studying my anatomy and physiology, and there was a girl in the class, and we got talked about the fact that I could do this, I could dowse, and I'd agreed to bring my dowsing pendulum in, for the beginning of class before the tutor arrived. And she wanted to know whether she should do a particular course. In this case, I think the course for her was Bowen technique. And so I dowsed on that for her. And the answer for her was yes. And it's a technique that she has learnt. Still occasionally see her, not very often, but with that we are still in touch, and it's lovely because it was a fabulous group that I was doing with, and we were also open to all of this. Bless all bar our tutor, and I won't go into the story of what happened when he saw the dowsing pendulum, but it was humorous, so it was fine. Okay, I've got a question here. Thank you, Dawn. What does it mean if my pendulum doesn't swing but appears to tremble? Very good question. Maybe it's because the question isn't clear enough, Dawn. It has to be very precise. So maybe the sensible thing to do is ask the question. Okay, and I don't know whether you've asked for your yes, no, and you're not getting that. You've just asked the question that you've asked me. My inclination, okay, let's, okay. Is the trembling of the pendulum that Dawn is using because the question isn't sufficiently specific? Okay, you can see that, Dawn, that is a yes. And as I said, the wording of your question has to be specific, because this is why the chocolate one for me was actually dreadful wording. And maybe it's just as well I asked it. So maybe you don't want to share what the question is, Dawn. And I don't know the answer to everything, which is why sometimes obviously having a pendulum or using fingers, body is something that is really, really helpful. But if this is a first time of using any form of dowsing, it may take some time. It's just, some people say they can't use pendulums, they struggle to use pendulums, but I've heard the same about singing bowls. Just recently mine has really been singing way more than I've ever heard her sing before. And sometimes it can be as much to do with us and where we are, and not necessarily to do with what we are doing. And it's trusting it, and it's having that belief in it. So it really is getting to know your pendulum and getting an attachment to it. As I said, I know I can pick up anything, but I do tend to be wearing her. But if I was to be walking around a fair and sort of, I could pick up one and I could ask a question, and on the whole, I really would get an answer. I feel very blessed in that respect. And yeah, I think be open is all I can say, and spend some time. Thank you. I'm rewording question. Okay, brilliant. But as I said, if you would like to ask a question that I can ask as well, and you would both get an answer and see whether we get the same answer, then please think about it. But obviously, yes, it would need to be on the shorter side of a question, because if you're typing in too much of a long one. And if you've never used a dowsing pendulum, as I was saying, get to know it. Okay, ask us yes and no, and you can start long. Now, my own Reiki master, Elaine, she actually has a pendulum, and I think I don't know whether it's a piece of leather or whether it's almost a piece of string that she's got on hers, and I think she's created sort of like a double loop, so that but I think it's quite long, and that's what works for her. Longer works for her. Shorter is what works for me. And that's what's so wonderful, is we are all different, every single last one of us. And these pendulums will work for us in a different way. Now, okay, let's see if I can it's having questions to ask, and I haven't. This is all coming off the top of my head, folks. Okay, I know I've got a few people watching live here in the room with me, and it's lovely to have you with me. And I have no doubt there are people watching via YouTube and Hangouts as well. Welcome, lovely to have you with me. Okay, can everyone with time and patience use a dowsing pendulum? See, that is a very definite yes. Can everybody ask their body and douse with their body? And I hope you can see just how strongly she is swinging. Oh, the other thing that you might find is if you don't get a backwards and forwards and a side to side, you may find that your pendulum rotates. So it could be that clockwise is yes and anti-clockwise is no, or vice versa. It's the same as with the fingers. You could find your yes and no are the reverse of mine. And obviously, as I said, with the body, you could find, I sort of sometimes find with my body that when it's going forward, it'll sort of do a little sort of semi-twist. So it's just like, okay, fine, whatever that is. Maybe I'm slightly off balance. I don't know what it is, but it's whatever it is. Just the more you do it, the more you will be able to do it. Everything is practice makes perfect. And I did used to use the dowsing pendulum long. I do remember sort of a little bit sort of unsettling a friend of mine because we'd gone out to check out something, I think for a fair that I was thinking about running, and I wanted to douse about the hall we'd just seen, and so I took my pendulum off, my pendant off, and I doused with that. And she said, "But you didn't move your hand," and it just started swinging. And I have got a lovely group of friends that really aren't into any of this at all, so I don't tend to do much of it in front of them. But it's just quite amazing that you can do this, and don't be stopped by anybody from if this is what you wish to do and experience, and ask for yourself. This is what dowsing is all about. Yes, you can take it further. I went out and I took a dowsing pendulum to a henge that has got a church in the middle of it. And it's a ruin of a church in the middle of it. But it was a really, really windy day, and it was a wooden pendulum I was using at the time. And so I don't know whether I was getting answers or not, whether it was just the wind. But I have used it in my own garden because we were told that when we moved in that there's an old well in the garden that's been covered up. Now, we were pretty certain we knew where it was. And my dowsing pendulum, I took her out into the garden, and it was just asking her to let me know when we were over the well. And she did. And so we do know exactly where the well is. I asked whether she had been filled in all the way down to the bottom. The answer was no. So, okay, is there an old well in my garden? Okay. Has she been fully filled in? Okay, now I obviously can't say to her, how deep is she? But when I doused on it, for some reason, I don't know how they've done it, the covering is 4 foot deep. I believe, is the well something like 25 foot deep? Yeah. Okay. Do I have a ley line running through the house? Did I have a ley line running through my old house? Yeah, I had a friend who would always sit on the settee in the same place in my old place. And one day she said, "Oh, it's really strange feelings here." And I said, "Yes, I know, because you sat on the ley line." Because I'd found out, not only does it tell me I have a ley line, I've been able to discover where the ley lines are. Does the ley line here run through the well and through the house? I've never asked this question before. Is it a minor ley line? Okay. A medium ley line. Okay. A major ley line. That's a very definite no. So again, these are things that you have got so many options when it comes to dowsing. Things that you can ask, and don't be afraid to ask them, except when you don't get an answer. And it might be that if you don't get an answer, as I said, ask that question. Do I need to rephrase? And don't say, or do I need to? You've got to you can put the whole question, do I need to rephrase, or are you not prepared to answer me? And then you have to separate them to get the yes and the no. Or they might be both no's, they might be both yeses, whatever. But ask the question. And as I said, I tend to ask things 3 ways. Now with the chocolate thing, I really do need to ask more than one way. Okay, so is it okay for me to eat chocolate? This was the one that threw me. Okay. Is it okay to eat milk chocolate? Okay. Should this be in the quantities I've been eating it? In moderation only. So that's given me yeses and nos to help me to, yeah, okay. Should I eat any form of bread? Okay. Is the wheat-free stuff that I eat classed in the terminology of bread I've just used? Okay. So can I eat wheat-free bread? Excellent. So it's those type of things. Yeah, there's the celiac in my family, which is how I'm aware of it, and the gluten-free. And I adore bread as well. So it's those things. There are going to be things that you're going to be told that you're not going to be so happy with. And there will be other things you'll be highly delighted with. And it's that, you know, it's sugar. Should I cut sugar out? All of it out, or just some of it out? You know, there's lots of things that you can ask the question about. Healthy. Just recently, I've been trying to eat more greens because I'm not a great lover of greens. And then literally the other day, I doused about eating some of the greens I've been eating. I was told, no, don't eat them. Now that came as a surprise to me. So from a health perspective, help yourself by using the dowsing. So everybody's being quiet. Dawn, I hope that has helped, and I hope the rewording helped. Thank you for those of you who've been here live. If you've got a question, type it up quickly, please. But I really hope that you will go and, for want of a better word, play with this. Enjoy it. Yes, it has. Thank you. Brilliant. Excellent. Play with this. Use it. Experiment using your body, experiment using the fingers, a pendulum. If you've got a necklace like myself that you've worn for years, there is such a connection between you that you can probably use that. You really can. So feel free to and explore other means of dowsing and play with those as well. Find what works for you. It isn't going to be what gives you the answers you want. It's going to be what gives you the answers that are right for you. So enjoy using dowsing pendulums, body dowsing. Have fun with them and get answers that you can't necessarily get any other way. And all I can say is listen to them. There are times when I don't want to listen, and I'm really surprised about the chocolate thing, but listen to it. I do my best to listen to it as much as I possibly can. Thank you for joining me. Next week, I am being joined by Bridget Danner, and Bridget is going to be sharing holistic functional medicine for women. So I hope that doesn't leave you guys out, but I'm sure there will be ladies in your life that this could be potentially helpful for as well. Anyway, thank you for joining me this week. Have a great week. I hope we will see you again next week. Love, peace, and light to you all. Namaste.